I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
They seem to be in full-scale retreat from spending cuts and are talking about raising people's taxes again. And I have only one thing to say to the tax increasers. Go ahead, make my day.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is on now.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the program. Thank you so much for being with us. My name is Paul. You have found the intersection of conservative ideas and reality where we are building a liberty machine. Thank you so much. We can't do it without you. The telephone number, 870-275-9799. If you want to be part of the program. Let's see here. What a crazy, crazy last 24 hours of news for a lot of levels. I've got some Arkansas stuff that we're going to cover. You know that Governor Asa Hutchinson is, or at least has been, maybe he still is, overseas in China and Japan for another economic development deal. 4 weeks ago, he was in India and Dubai for an economic development tour, I guess. I guess attempting to bring companies from the United Arab Emirates over into Arkansas now. You're definitely going to want to stay tuned because there is, well, I mean, everybody knows what's in the news nationally right now when it comes to the children of politicians. We have been talking, we're going to get into this. I mean, we've kind of danced around it now for a while, but I mean, folks, now there's photos and it's unavoidable. You know, it has to now be talked about. You know, this idea of secret empires, Peter Schweitzer's book, which talked about how there's really no laws out there that prevent foreign governments from enriching the children of politicians. We'll talk a little bit more about that and look at some of these connections later on in the show. You definitely want to stay tuned for that. I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't tell you about this video. I'm sure many of you have seen it, but the implications here are from Project Veritas. The implications here are absolutely devastating. To say it's devastating to the credibility of ABC News is an understatement. To say that ABC News enables pedophiles is really the story here. I want you to listen to this. This is leaked video from a hot mic ABC News reporter. Her name is Amy Robach, and she apparently had the whole Jeffrey Epstein story lock, stock, and barrel 3 years ago. The higher-ups at ABC News wouldn't allow it to air. Disney, by the way, owned by ABC. Who exactly stopped the story? That's what people want to know now. Also, this is shades of NBC stopping the Harvey Weinstein story from going on because there are too many powerful people. I want you to keep in mind that 3 years ago, Hillary Clinton was running for president, and this ABC reporter says they had everything on Clinton, Bill Clinton, and Jeffrey Epstein. And just listen to what she said. Go ahead.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago.
Stop. Okay, you cut to the second clip. Go forward up to 2 minutes. That is incredible. That is incredible. ABC News sat on the story. How many young people, how many young children or young girls were abused in the last 3 years because they sat on this story? How many, Joe? Hundreds? Hundreds, I would think, because of powerful people who were friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Hillary Clinton was running for president. Now, ABC News has issued a statement and saying they didn't run with the story because it didn't meet their standards. And yet, they'll show you a gun range in Kentucky to make you think it's Syria. They will run with the Brett Kavanaugh allegations when they are completely unsubstantiated. But they won't run. They won't run with the story. They sit down and they interview this girl who has photographic evidence. What a bunch of liars. And yet, you know, how many people still get their news from ABC? How many people still believe these people? I mean, you can't, I would say, well, this is just, we know they're propagandists. We know this, but there is something so much more insidious going on here. Powerful people. So this, I mean, the world is run by powerful people, not necessarily democratically elected politicians, but people like Jeffrey Epstein, who basically use a sex island, an occult sex island, to blackmail people. Go ahead, Joe. I want to hear the rest of this. It's incredible.
That's tape leaked to us by our latest network insider. This brave insider works at ABC News. ABC News anchorwoman Amy Robach is talking to her producer on a hot mic. She says she had the Jeffrey Epstein story 3 years ago, and her bosses at ABC News spiked it.
And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal.
Our insider told us this tape was recorded earlier this year in late August, a day or so after this NPR report came out sharply criticizing ABC News for not broadcasting the Robach-Giuffre interview years ago.
ABC has episodically covered the scandal, yet the interview was never broadcast, and Giuffre says she was never told why.
Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying, there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago.
But the creepy thing is that we would make access to all of these high-profile people.
Well, then I got a little concerned about why I couldn't get on.
On the leaked insider tape, Amy Robach says she had the Jeffrey Epstein story 3 years prior, but her exclusive interview was shelved. Robach says in the leaked tape there was a lot of pressure from Buckingham Palace. According to NPR, the famed lawyer Alan Dershowitz also pressured the network to kill the story.
Shortly before the interview was due to air, Harvard Emeritus Law Professor Alan Dershowitz called the network. He was also one of Epstein's lead defense attorneys.
We wonder if the story was killed to protect the rich and powerful. It seems few were worried about protecting the women who may have been Jeffrey Epstein's victims. Remember, Epstein was still a free man 3 years ago. And just to be clear, the interview has still not aired. What is ABC News waiting for, or who are they still protecting?
She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything.
Robach also has no doubt about what happened to Epstein when he finally was arrested and jailed.
So do I think he was killed? 100%. Yes, I do. Because he made his whole living blackmailing people. Yeah. There were a lot of men in those planes, a lot of men who visited that island, a lot of powerful men who came into that apartment.
When I heard he was found dead, was Giselle selling his money?
I knew immediately. And they made it seem as though he made that suicide attempt 2 weeks earlier, but his lawyers claimed that he was roughed up by his cellmate around the neck. That was all like to plant the seed, and then that's why I really believe it. Like, really believe it.
Stop. All right. Okay, so that's another big. I mean, that's obviously huge. Nobody believes Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Nobody does. And we're all conspiracy theorists now. I mean, that whole word is essentially, that whole phrase is essentially just meant to paint people who continue to be right as loony and wacky. But there's so many, conspiracy theories that end up being completely true. It's one of these things where you're just absolutely speechless. By the way, that I don't know if you saw the beginning of this James O'Keefe video is titled "Expose ABC Part 1." So who knows what's coming out today? I have no idea, or what's coming out the next day. But my goodness, this is the most explosive piece of undercover video Project Veritas has ever released, in my opinion. This is huge, and of course this anchor here, Robach, she comes out and makes a statement with ABC News saying, I was just really frustrated. But clearly, and if you kind of see, she's upset because she didn't get the credit for the report, which any reporter would be. But I just can't believe this. She wouldn't resign or quit or something, honestly, because why would you want to continue working for somebody like that you've now, privately criticized? And you started to wonder, you listen to what she said, I started to wonder why I couldn't get the story on. Well, maybe the people you're working for have been on Jeffrey Epstein's plane and have done much worse than we know about, right? Think about this. You have reports that Bill Gates was on Epstein's plane, Bill Clinton was on Epstein's plane. Oh, yeah, Bill Richardson, former governor of New Mexico, big Clinton guy. And then you got Alan Dershowitz, who, kind of runs in Republican circles. I mean, this is so huge. This is so big. And we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. I just think it's hilarious, ABC News. Well, we didn't run with the report of the victim who had photographic evidence. We had photos. We had everything on Clinton. We didn't run with the report because, it didn't meet our standards. Oh, really? It didn't meet your standards? Okay. But Brett Kavanaugh allegations met your standards. The Kentucky gun range you tried to pass off as a war in Syria to draw America into another foreign war, that met your standards. Oh, remember when ABC News, or the network, remember when the network fired Roseanne from the sitcom Roseanne? Remember that? Oh, wow. Yeah, they fired Roseanne because she was a racist and made a comment about Valerie Jarrett and, what was it, something to do with an ape or something? And Planet of the Apes, right. And then, of course, Valerie Jarrett's like, I'm black, you're a racist. And then Roseanne's like, oh, really? You're you're black? I didn't realize you were part African American. I had no idea. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, but I am. And so because I am, you're gone. And so ABC fires Roseanne. These news priests, as I have coined the term. I came up with this term, news priests. They're the clergy of the day, aren't they? You know, we have people that want the news priests to tell them the way the world works. They want the news priests to absolve someone or condemn someone, promote an issue or condemn an issue based on a rotating moral scale, a wheel, if you will. From day to day, they just spin it, and they tell you what the moral outrage is, marketing outrage after outrage after outrage. And they're all a bunch of liars, all of them. They're all a bunch of hypocrites. And I know we're all hypocrites to one degree or another, but how many young girls were raped, were abused in the 3 years that Jeffrey Epstein was walking around, flying back to his island with those weird Egyptian markings, that weird temple? There's some guerrilla, I didn't know if you guys know this, there were some guerrilla filmmakers that actually got on the island. Didn't send a drone over there. They got on the island and they started running around filming all kinds of weird tunnels going on in there. This is a huge story. The mainstream media will not cover it because they are controlled. They are lying to massive amounts of people, and yet the American people continue to wake up slowly, and hopefully this will begin to do it. This will begin to wake up a lot more people. And we're going to continue telling as many people as we can as well. But you guys got to share that video. I saw it when it came out yesterday. As soon as we got off the air yesterday, I saw this video. Immediately planned this segment. I tweeted it out. I sent it out on my personal Facebook page because it was... you knew that they were going to try to quash it, and of course Twitter did. Twitter censored the viralness. What am I trying to say? Anyway, they said it was a viral video. Twitter then goes around and tries to censor it, tries to keep it from trending. Epstein cover-up. Yeah. Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? Let me know what you think. Facebook.com/Conduit News. We're going to break for 1 minute and be back here in a moment.
Folks, as a taxpayer or business owner, I know the government rarely gives the people a break. Big government politicians seem to always want more money from us, taxpayers. So if you want to support the work we're doing right here at Conduit News, bringing you the truth, then why not consider giving less money to the government that never stops overspending and overtaxing us by giving a tax-deductible donation to Conduit for Commerce, the premier organization in Arkansas that never stops promoting small business and limited government. Just go to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Support Our Cause. From there, you can decide if you want to donate monthly or one time. Give the government that's using your tax dollars to grow and grow less, and give the people fighting for your values more. Conduitforcommerce.org.
As we speak, Beijing is employing a whole-of-government approach, using political, economic, and military tools as well as propaganda to advance its influence and benefit its interests in the United States.
Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell
I
is
wanted to
building
welcome
a liberty
back
machine.
to Arkansas
Find
Chairman.
out more at conduitnews.com.
Read some of your comments. Let's see here. Randy says that ABC News needs to be arrested to, along with the rest of people covering all of this up. Listen, I just wonder, can you make the case that ABC News is complicit or an enabler of human trafficking by sitting on this story? And I know you got to be very careful because you're dealing with First Amendment protections and freedom of the press. But man, honestly, you'd think the Justice Department could step in or something, and they'd be like, we'll just freeze all of ABC's assets and just shut them down. I know that's very dangerous. I get that. But the reason I led with this story is because, folks, we're talking about humanity here, right? And it's just fascinating. You've got this ABC reporter that says, my sources say we were going to report that Jeffrey Epstein will be known as the most prolific pedophile the world has known, that the world has ever known. And he's running around, this ABC News reporter, we'll say this, off the record, with a hot mic. She didn't know. He's running around with Bill Clinton and the what's his name, Prince Andrew, and the fact that they told her, well, we can't run this story because Buckingham Palace. So what does that mean? Is Buckingham Palace run by a bunch of freaks? Well, Buckingham Palace won't let us interview Prince William and Kate Middleton if you run this story about them and about Prince Andrew and what he was doing with Ghislaine Maxwell. And by the way, if you go watch the rest of that James O'Keefe video, she mentions Ghislaine Maxwell, how nobody cared who she was. Now everybody's looking into her. And of course, after Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself but was found dead in his jail cell, there was that photo of Ghislaine Maxwell at an In-N-Out Burger reading a book about dead CIA officers. The title of the book was about CIA people who had been killed in the line of duty, which was obviously a signal to somebody, because that would be ridiculous if you thought that she would just could go out to an In-N-Out Burger and not be recognized. And she's reading a book about dead CIA agents. What is that even? What is going on? Telephone number 870-275-9799. My goodness. Gene on Facebook. We really appreciate your comments, by the way. Keep them coming. Gene on Facebook. The Obama administration went after journalists. They did. Absolutely they did. Cheryl Atkinson trying to cover the Fast and Furious situation, which was really just a setup in order to test out radical gun control policies on the border. Now it failed. It blew up in their face because you had dead American servicemen. By the way, you've got this family living in Mexico that's murdered by the cartel. These young children are murdered by the cartel, executed by, and I saw where Senator Tom Cotton is. He was saying on Fox that we need to think about military intervention in Mexico. I have been personally, I have wondered if it was going to come to this for a very long time. President Trump telling Mexico, if you need help destroying the cartel, America can help you, but that would require Mexico to give us permission to do it. I have long told you that the southern border is one of the most violent places on the planet that nobody talks about. Under the Obama administration, instead of doing something about it, they put up signs telling American citizens that, well, maybe you should take the northern route. Don't take the southern route. We can't guarantee your safety. What an admission of utter incompetence. Our own American government telling its citizens, we cannot protect you here from Mexicans in our own country. They basically put up a sign that said, we've abdicated our responsibility. You're not safe down here. Here's it is Frank Lockwood, Arkansas Democrat Gazette, headline, Tom Cotton broaches sending military into Mexico fray. Neighbor can't defeat gangs, protect Americans, he says. I think a lot of people are ready to do this. I think they're ready to eliminate the cartels. Folks, they have found before vans just full of human body parts. One time they found a van just full of torsos. That's right, no arms, no legs, no heads, just torsos. Stacked from the floor of the van to the top, just torsos of people. Quote, unfortunately, it's plain that the Mexican government can't handle this. President Lopez came into office almost a year ago saying that his strategy for dealing with the cartels was going to be more hugs, not bullets. That may work in a children's fairy tale, but in the real world, it doesn't. That's Senator Tom Cotton. We're up against a hard break. Back in a minute.
Folks, as a taxpayer or business owner, I know the government rarely gives the people a break. Big government politicians seem to always want more money from us, taxpayers. So if you want to support the work we're doing right here at Conduit News, bringing you the truth, then why not consider giving less money to the government that never stops overspending and overtaxing us by giving a tax-deductible donation to Conduit for Commerce, the premier organization in Arkansas that never stops promoting small business and limited government. Just go to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Support Our Cause. From there, you can decide if you want to donate monthly or one time. Give the government that's using your tax dollars to grow and grow less, and give the people fighting for your values more. Conduitforcommerce.org.
Chu, please give Chairman Chu a round of applause.
China is also applying this power in more proactive ways than ever before to exert influence and interfere in the domestic policy and politics of this country.
Chairman Chu, I got to know as he is the CEO and chairman of Shandong Ruyi Technology Group out of Shandong Province.
Over the past 17 years, China's GDP has grown 9-fold. It's become the second largest economy in the world. Much of this success was driven by American investment in China. And the Chinese Communist Party has also used an arsenal of policies inconsistent with free and fair trade, including tariffs, quotas, currency manipulation, forced technology transfer, intellectual property theft, and industrial subsidies that are handed out like candy to foreign investment.
We've been to Shandong Province a number of times since I've been governor. We've called on people, and Chairman Chu gave us the opportunity to meet with him at Ruyi, at their technology group there in Shandong, and saw his incredible facility. We asked him to visit Arkansas. He did. So Chairman Chu, we're delighted to have you here. I'm excited about signing this agreement with you, and I welcome you to Arkansas.
These policies have built Beijing's manufacturing base at the expense of its competitors, especially the United States of America.
And I wanted to recognize Chairman Li to my right, who is the founder of Sun Paper of Shandong Province in China. I also wanted to recognize Secretary Ma.
All right, welcome. We got some big news coming up. Big news I want to go over coming up at 7:05, so stay tuned for that. Folks, I saw this headline, Ilhan Omar, Bernie Sanders, she's endorsed Bernie Sanders for president, okay. And Bernie Sanders, a president who will fight against Western imperialism. Western imperialism. Now, of course, we know that Representative Ilhan Omar is famous for making anti-Semitic comments. So that's why I wanted to bring in, we've got the former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, author of the book Trump and the Jews. His name is David Rubin. Mr. Rubin, welcome back to the program.
Well, thank you. Good to be with you, Paul.
Can you put us in program, I'm sorry, David, on the phone line, put us in program 1. You want to make sure, okay, yeah. Okay, sorry, David, we had some technical difficulties. Go ahead. Welcome back to the program.
Okay, I said it's good to be with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you now. So what does Western imperialism mean to you?
Western imperialism. Western imperialism is a term that has been used historically by communists, by enemies of the United States, in order to label and attack the United States.
And, I look at a place like Israel as a beacon of Western civilization surrounded by areas that are not beacons for Western civilization.
Well, that's for sure. That's for sure. We certainly are.
What do you think about Ilhan Omar and her endorsing Bernie Sanders?
Well, look, Ilhan Omar is a radical Muslim who believes in jihad, who supports holy war against what they call the Jews and the infidels. That is the most extreme form of Islam. That's what she believes in. She's a supporter of CARE, which is the Council of America Islamic Relations. Well, I mean, that's a very nice sounding name, but the reality is that they support taking over the West through nefarious means. So that's Ilhan Omar, and she doesn't hide her hatred of Jews, and especially of Israel. But she apparently had a very compelling reason for endorsing Sanders, as opposed to another leftist like Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think that reason was? I mean, what is the reason she? Because I saw you had Ocasio-Cortez has endorsed. She's a socialist. She's endorsed her candidate, and but Ilhan Omar. It's almost kind of like the squad is. They're picking their own favorites.
Certainly, but they're going with the hard left.
Mm-hmm.
That's clear, and her the ideological left. So, her endorsement of Bernie Sanders, who as a young man volunteered on a kibbutz, one of those agricultural settlements here in Israel. Her endorsement of Sanders is a way of overcoming her anti-Semitic, anti-Israel image that she has been rightly labeled with by endorsing a candidate who happens to be originally a Jew from Brooklyn, and Sanders, as you may know, has that giveaway Brooklyn accent.
Yeah.
Even though he's adopted Vermont as his state, and he's done everything in his life, including marrying a non-Jew, having non-Jewish children, and speaking out against Israel repeatedly. He's adopted all of those things in order to run away from his Judaism, but it doesn't matter. She sees this as a way of getting rid of that anti-Semitic label while endorsing an ideological leftist.
Okay, yeah. So it all makes sense. So it's a beard, if you will, kind of situation. We're talking with David Rubin, the former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, author of the book Trump and the Jews. You should check it out. Also, he's the president of the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund. Real quick, David, tell us once again about what made you create this organization.
Well, the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund I established after my 3-year-old son and I were wounded in a terrorist attack. We were coming back from Jerusalem. Our car was ambushed by Islamic terrorists, and I was shot in the leg. My son was shot in the head, and thank God we both survived, yes. Miraculously, the bullet missed his brain stem by 1 millimeter.
Wow.
And as a result of that just overwhelming experience, I was just so thankful to God for saving his life that I decided to give everything back that I could by establishing the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund. So we have therapeutic and educational projects in the heartland of Israel for over 2,000 children, and we use music therapy, art therapy, animals, horse farm, petting zoo. All of these techniques are used to heal the trauma for children and restore the lost innocence to their lives, lost innocence of childhood to their lives.
That's incredible, and am amazed at your story there, and I am so sorry that happened to you, David. But I am encouraged that you're trying to take something that was so negative and turn it into a positive, and you're helping other people that are going through the same thing. So that's really, really good. I've often wondered in trying to compare, living in Israel, living under that constant, a much higher threat of terrorism than we here in the United States face. And I think that really shapes us. I think there's so many people who are not voting here in America for their interests because they just don't, because something never has happened here in America. It never can happen. It never will happen. But I feel like we would see things differently if, we were living more on the edge, like the folks over in Israel are living. I mean, right? I mean, kind of constantly on edge over there.
Well, first of all, I don't think that we could accurately say that it can't happen there,
right,
because it has happened. 9/11 was the biggest single terrorist attack. But I agree. You don't have that constant onslaught and that constant feeling of being on edge, which we do have in Israel.
Yeah.
Well, the terrorist attacks have just been so numerous. I mean, I was the 1,000th terror victim to be hospitalized just in the one hospital that I was in, and just in that previous year and a half. So, we're talking big numbers.
Yeah.
But thank God we go on with our lives. We're aware of the threats, and we move forward. And as you said, through organizations like the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund, we take the darkness and we turn it into light. And that's an important goal, an important challenge.
Real quick, David, while I have you, what's the political situation like over there with Benjamin Netanyahu and forming a government? What's the latest on that?
Very up in the air. We're not really sure what's going to be happening. Just to remind your listeners, there was a deadlock in the Israeli elections. Neither side has been able to form a governing coalition, a majority coalition in the Israeli parliament. And, within a few weeks, we're going to know for sure what's going to be happening. But it's either going to be the politicians compromising and forming a majority coalition, perhaps a unity coalition, the right of center and the left of center together, or it'll be another right-wing government in which certain of the small parties will have to compromise as well.
Do you think, President Trump seems to be a big fan of Benjamin Netanyahu. What do you think of Benjamin Netanyahu, sir?
Well, they do have a good relationship. Netanyahu is the longest-serving prime minister in Israel's history. He's done a lot of good things. He's a great statesman and a great economist. So we're going to see. It's going to be quite interesting in the coming days to see whether he succeeds in putting together the coalition. But Netanyahu and Trump have been a very good team towards strengthening the relationship between Israel and the United States. And that's a lot of what I wrote about in my book, Trump and the Jews.
It's fantastic. David Ruman, former mayor of Shiloh, Israel. We appreciate you coming on, spending some time with us this morning.
My pleasure.
All righty. Be safe, sir. Folks, we're going to make a smaller YouTube video of this, put it up at Conduit News YouTube page. Please subscribe, click the little bell to receive notifications, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Folks, as a taxpayer or business owner, I know the government rarely gives the people a break. Big government politicians seem to always want more money from us, taxpayers. So if you want to support the work we're doing right here at Conduit News, bringing you the truth, then why not consider giving less money to the government that never stops overspending and overtaxing us by giving a tax-deductible donation to Conduit for Commerce, the premier organization in Arkansas that never stops promoting small business and limited government. Just go to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Support Our Cause. From there, you can decide if you want to donate monthly or one time. Give the government that's using your tax dollars to grow and grow less, and give the people fighting for your values more. Conduitforcommerce.org.
Of Shandong Province.
As President Trump said just this week, in his words, we rebuilt China over the last 25 years.
Last November, as you know, I traveled to Shandong Province. I met with Chairman Lee. I toured Sun Paper Company along with Mike Preston. While in China, we signed a letter of intent on behalf of the state of Arkansas with Sun Paper, indicating that Sun Paper wanted to put a major bioproducts mill in South Arkansas,
The Communist Party has set its sights on controlling 90% of the world's most...
Who's next to Zipline?
Me, and I'm really excited about this.
Sir, I'm sorry. The Zipline has a 350-pound weight limit, and frankly, I do not think it would be safe for you.
Oh, that's okay. I self-identify as 180 pounds, so it's cool.
Sir, that doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm afraid we can't let you ride the Zipline. You're too heavy. I'm sorry.
I can't believe this. I thought we had evolved as a society. I thought this was America, but I guess this is just my plight. First slavery, and now fat shaming.
Sir, again, I'm really sorry.
You listen to me. If you don't let me ride, not only will I sue this company for discrimination, I will sue you for damages because right now my feelings are so hurt and I feel embarrassed because I'm holding up the line.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Watch it, mister.
Look, okay, I'm sorry. I just don't think it would be safe for you.
You don't understand. I self-identify as skinny. So you have to let me ride the zip line. The Constitution says so. I get to define my own reality.
Oh, you know what? Okay, fine. Whatever. Ride the zip line. Mike, let this man ride the zip line.
Thank you. Now watch as my self-identity trumps your bigotry. See you on the other side, racist. Here I go! Doctor, thank goodness. What's the prognosis?
Sir, we've done everything we can, and you only have seconds to live.
No, you cannot say that. I do not self-identify as a dead person.
PHP Parody. Determined to drain the swamp in Little Rock, it's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
I see here, Bentonville, the Bentonville Planning Commission has approved a plan for a Starbucks location. Interesting. Planning Commission unanimously approved plans for another Starbucks location. Well, the 1,921 square foot building will be at the 3811 U.S. 71B, the little less than an acre properties at the intersection of Peach Orchard Road and Bella Vista Bypass, according to the planning documents. There are two other Starbucks on the Walton Boulevard. There are more than 15,000 Starbucks in the United States. Did you know that? 15,000 Starbucks. You know, I'm not a fan. I'll be honest with you. Are you a fan? I mean, I like coffee. I'm just not a fan of Starbucks. Yeah, I'd rather have a local coffee or something like that. I don't like the logo. Do you realize what that logo really is? Look into that. Look into what that logo on the Starbucks logo, the woman on there. Yeah, if you were to zoom out on that, you'd be offended by what you don't see. Okay, it's actually some sort of half woman, half fish. Isn't that an yeah? The things that are right here, like those are actually like tentacles. My question would be like, okay, why is that your logo? I mean, it's just a question. Like, what about coffee says half woman, half fish creature? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just weird to me. Now, that's not, I mean, I'm not saying I've never had Starbucks or I don't, I mean, occasionally I'll go have Starbucks or something, if it's there, but I don't know. I'm just not really a fan. I don't get it. I don't get all the craze. And is Starbucks on board with the straws, the situation with the straws, Joe? You know how they don't want plastic straws? Are they on board with that? Starbucks, are they giving plastic straws still, or maybe it just depends on the locations of the local governments? Did you know that Fayetteville last night in an 8-0 vote banned styrofoam? Last night, the Fayetteville City Council voted unanimously 8-0, 8-0, to ban polystyrene, commonly referred to obviously as styrofoam. That's actually the brand name, by the way. Did you know that? It's actually polystyrene, but everyone calls it styrofoam. So now one of my favorite places to go and get like a soft drink is, gas stations. And I love to get those, you have at the Come and Go, there's a lot of Come and Goes around where I am. And you've got options. You can have the plastic or you can have the styrofoam. I prefer the styrofoam. I like the way it feels in my hand better. I like the way it keeps my ice for longer periods of time. I like the styrofoam. I like to have the choice. But these progressive choice Nazis want to limit your choice because they just know better. And they think you're too stupid to be good stewards, and they think polystyrene is going to hasten the destruction of the planet, right? Global warming, climate change. We've only got 12 years or it will be too late. It's nuts. Progressives are now fully embracing their totalitarian attitudes and lifestyles. Oh, they claim they're about, hey, don't question me. I can identify as a man if I'm really a girl. I can use whatever restroom. It's freedom, freedom. I can use whatever restroom I want. That's what the left's mantra is now. That's the only thing they could even argue that they agree with freedom, and really, it's not, because they're wanting to impose their worldview on other people and get you to validate it. But in every other instance, they want to dictate what kind of they want to dictate whether or not you can use styrofoam. They want to dictate what kind of light bulb you can have. They want to dictate what kind of toilets you can use. How much water is your toilet using? Well, you know what? It's none of your business. Leave me alone. No, but we need more regulations here. Matter of fact, the Fayetteville City Council was trying to pass a driveway limit. Yeah. Now, that actually failed, but what they were trying to do, let me pull this up here because I had it on my phone. They were actually trying, controversial driveway limit fails, is the styrofoam ban passes. So if you're a business in Fayetteville, by the way, on that styrofoam ban, you'll be fined up to $500. The proposal in the driveways, though, would have limited... Folks, I'm covering this story because if your local city council hasn't had some progressive whack job propose it yet, it's coming, okay? Whatever happens in Fayetteville is basically whatever happens in New York or California, right? They just try to emulate it, right? Or whatever happens in Fayetteville has probably already happened in Austin, Texas, which is it's full of crazy people, just full of crazies. So if it's happening in Fayetteville, it's only a matter of time before somebody walks in with some sort of styrofoam ban resolution in Jonesboro or Russellville or Little Rock or wherever. A controversial proposal to limit driveway width in certain residential zoning districts failed, though. The proposal would have limited driveway width in certain zoning districts to 20% of the overall width of the lot, or at least 10 feet. Planning commissioners and council members who backed the proposal said it would have helped housing developments built in those certain zones be distinctive from those built under traditional suburban zoning. I mean, who cares? Leave people alone. People are there. They're willing to live in your city, and you want to dictate what builders can build. It's like they're building a home. Now somebody's going to live in your city and pay taxes, and you guys, it's like you're looking a gift horse in the mouth. They're just like, oh, you giving me a horse? But the teeth just, I don't know if I can take this, right? They really take the government takes, this is true in all levels, they take the people that are living under their rule for granted. They don't have to live there. Who do you think you are? I'm going to dictate what somebody can build in their home? You know what? If you want to build a house and you don't want to have grass, you just want to have pebbles and rocks in front, that should be your prerogative. You know, and I know there's homeowners associations and there's all this other stuff, but I mean, I just think people need to leave other people alone. I really do. Well, Paul, you don't understand. If we don't have these laws and these regulations in place, then somebody could move in next door, and then your property value would plummet. And so this is to protect your property value and blah, blah, blah. You know what? I understand the argument. I do. But I just am for more freedom than you. I know that I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. I could drop dead right now. I could drop dead tomorrow. Okay? I'm also not guaranteed that my investments are going to work out. I'm not guaranteed that my home is going to be worth what I want it to be worth, right? There could be all kinds of circumstances that happen, and everybody is really just looking for a guarantee. And they want to use the government because the government ultimately has the guns. They want to use the government to, for levels of protection that honestly just continue to grow and increase. It's one thing to say, okay, we need police. And we got to have fire. We got to have law and order. We got to enforce the laws. But then you start making more laws, and then you're just increasing, and it just grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. And I'm sick of it, man. I'm sick of it. I mean, you look at some of the stories. I mean, I've used this example for 10 years. By the way, I'm pretty sure I've been on the radio now for it's official 10 years. But you grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. I've used this example for a while. The United States Department of Agriculture, okay? Whoever created it up, I don't know. It's an organization. It's been around. It's been an agency for a long time. But originally, this was about what? Agriculture. It's about growing food and, looking out for farmers or whatever it was originally about. The USDA is now 80% food stamps. I want you to think about this. The USDA is now 80% food stamps. United States Department of Agriculture, every time they pass this bill, it's like, do you think when they started the United States Department of Agriculture, they thought that it was going to end up being a welfare program and 80% of the funding is going towards food stamps? Now, I don't know what the percentage is now under Trump, but these are Obama figures. But you get my point, right? It always grows, and it goes emission creep, and you end up creating more responsibilities than the government should ever have over the citizens. And now you've got vaping. I just had a text message about this. Now you've got vaping, right? Everybody, that's the biggest outrage. That's the next thing, right? Okay, you can't have your plastic straws. You can't have your styrofoam. You can't have your driveways, according to some people. You can't build your house the way you want. Oh, by the way, vaping now. Ooh, vaping. People that, we've got to look into this. And you know what? Maybe vaping is a giant public safety concern. Maybe it really is. But I'm always looking, well, who's the next vaping industry we just want to wipe away, get rid of, one fell swoop? Who's next? You get enough people outraged by it, for people that are actually mostly smoking black market THC, not the actual legal stuff you can buy over the counter. I don't know. The next vaping industry that will just be, oh, you're gone. We got one more hour. Big news coming next.
Folks, as a taxpayer or business owner, I know the government rarely gives the people a break. Big government politicians seem to always want more money from us, taxpayers. So if you want to support the work we're doing right here at Conduit News, bringing you the truth, then why not consider giving less money to the government that never stops overspending and overtaxing us by giving a tax-deductible donation to Conduit for Commerce, the premier organization in Arkansas that never stops promoting small business and limited government. Just go to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Support Our Cause. From there, you can decide if you want to donate monthly or one time. Give the government that's using your tax dollars to grow and grow less, and give the people fighting for your values more. Conduitforcommerce.org.
Most advanced industries, including robotics, biotechnology, and artificial intelligence. To win the commanding heights of the 21st century economy, Beijing has directed its bureaucrats and businesses to obtain American intellectual property, the foundation of our economic leadership, by any means necessary.
Chairman Lee and I met yesterday. Chairman Lee indicated to me that Sun Paper has selected Arkadelphia in Clark County as the location of a $1 billion bioproducts mill.
Beijing now requires many American businesses to hand over their trade secrets as the cost of doing business in China. It also coordinates and sponsors the acquisition of American firms to gain ownership of their creations. Worst of all, Chinese security agencies have masterminded the wholesale theft of American technology, including cutting-edge military blueprints. And using that stolen technology, the Chinese Communist Party is turning plowshares into swords on a massive scale.
Well, thank you all for joining us via Skype from Beijing this morning. Here in Beijing, it is 10 p.m. in the evening. I've had a very successful trip to China.
China now spends as much on its military as the rest of Asia combined. And Beijing has prioritized capabilities to erode America's military advantages on land, at sea, in the air, and in space.
I've spoken at Tsinghua University here in Beijing, which was a treat for me to speak with young Chinese students about Arkansas, and also to talk about the relationship between China and the United States.
China wants nothing less than to push the United States of America from the Western Pacific and attempt to prevent us from coming to the aid of our allies. But they will fail. Beijing is also using its power like never before. Chinese ships routinely patrol around the Senkaku Islands, which are administered by Japan. And while China's leader stood in the Rose Garden at the White House in 2015 and said that his country had, and I quote, no intention to militarize the South China Sea. Today, Beijing has deployed advanced anti-ship and anti-air missiles atop an archipelago of military bases constructed on artificial islands. China's aggression was on display this week when a Chinese naval vessel came within 45 yards of the USS Decatur as it conducted freedom of navigation operations in the South China Sea, forcing our ship to quickly maneuver to avoid collision. Despite such reckless harassment, the United States Navy will continue to fly, sail, and operate wherever international law allows and our national interests demand. We will not be intimidated, and we will not stand down.
And we'll be calling on multiple prospects in China. as well as continuing our relationship with Sun Paper in Shandong Province.
In recent years, China has taken a sharp U-turn toward control and oppression of its own people. Today, China has built an unparalleled surveillance state, and it's growing more expansive and intrusive.
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers.
They seem to be in full-scale retreat from spending cuts and are talking about raising people's taxes again. And I have only one thing to say to the tax increasers. Go ahead, make my day.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conduit News Radio.
Here we go.
Paul Harrell.
Hey, folks.
Is on now.
Hey, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for being with us today. We really do appreciate it. Congratulations, you found the intersection of conservative ideas and reality where we are building a liberty machine here. So everybody's familiar with the scandal in the Ukraine and in China between Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, right? Now, I know the media will tell you that there's no evidence, there's no proof. They continue to say that despite there being emails, despite people in the Ukraine trying to get to the Justice Department and their visas being denied, trying to talk about the corruption. We know that the whistleblower with this whole impeachment thing was likely on the plane on Air Force Two with Hunter Biden, with Joe Biden as they were, making some of these deals. We know that Joe Biden's son was put on the board, made $50,000 a month, and then Joe Biden withheld money in order to kill an investigation of the company that his son was. Oh, we know all of this, right? We know all of this. And so it was in that context that a little bird sent me this photo. Right now, Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson is in the middle of a economic development trip, one of his many economic development trips to China. 4 weeks ago, he went on one to the United Arab Emirates in Dubai, looking for economic development deals. These are deals where the state taxpayer gives foreign companies money with the hopes that they move here and create jobs. He also went to India 4 weeks ago. Yesterday, the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette reported in the article about record revenues in the month of October that he was in China and Japan. And then we have this photo from the governor's son. I, for many weeks, have been listening and reading the comments on our social media, Conduit News, and I know many of you have wanted and you've asked questions. You keep asking questions about Asa Hutchinson III, not about his drinking habits, although that's the main thing. I mean, when it comes to Asa Hutchinson's son, Asa III, we hear about the DWIs and that sort of thing and getting off by technicalities and everything else. But what you're looking at right now is a photo from LinkedIn, Asa Hutchinson III. It was posted 2 days ago, and it says this, and I'll pull it up right here. Despite the tariff wars, state and local governments in China and the U.S. can still collaborate to strengthen our economic ties. Thank you, Tianwan Garments, for bringing us together, #trade. And it's a photo of Governor Asa Hutchinson and Asa Hutchinson III and Mike Preston, the Secretary of Commerce, with, I'm assuming, the president and the head of the staff of TY Garments. Okay. Now, many of you might be thinking it's odd that the governor is bringing his son along with him on trips to China. Okay? Right? I mean, what's up with that? That's kind of weird, right? Governor Asa Hutchinson's son, Asa III, is also an attorney. And he is an attorney that works for the Asa Hutchinson Law Group. Joe, can you go to the website of the Asa Hutchinson Law Group? Here is the Asa Hutchinson Law Group. We see the lawyers listed. Asa Hutchinson, who is still listed as a lawyer, as you know, for this firm, Asa Hutchinson III, and then you see a few others. And then right below there, you see their corporate clients. Stop. You have two corporate clients right here, RiseEver, that just opened a plant through economic development incentives in Jonesboro. And another client of the Asa Hutchinson Law Group is TY Garments, the same people that they're in this photo with overseas. Now, is this okay? Maybe if this is okay, I mean, you know, if this is fine, that's fine. But you guys have been asking about it. I mean, I've heard this for the better part of a year. People have said, because my question has always been, why China? Why China? Why China? Why China? Why do we keep doing all these deals with the Chinese? We're ignoring red flags. We're ignoring Congressman Rick Crawford when he says that these companies coming here are not here to help us. They're Trojan horses. All of this stuff. Why China? Why China? And everybody kept privately texting me. They keep saying, well, you need to look into Asa's son. You need to look into Asa Jr., Asa Hutchinson III. That's what this is. And I said, well, I'm going to need some proof. I don't really have, I need a little bit more to go on this. And I think there was a Max Brantley article written about this several years ago, but it's so vague, right? Nobody talks about it. This is a huge, it's kind of like everybody knows, but nobody really is willing to go in and ask the question. So that's all I'm doing. Yes, do I have policy disagreements with Governor Asa Hutchinson? Those are very well documented. Absolutely, I do. So, so just take it with a grain of salt. I disagree with the governor on a lot of things. I clearly disagree with the governor on China. This is very interesting, though, and if it wasn't for this photo that Asa Hutchinson III posted, I'm going to be real honest with you right now. If it wasn't for this LinkedIn photo that Asa Hutchinson III posted with his dad overseas that was posted 2 days ago with the TY Garments people, I guess I don't think we would even be doing this segment. You know what I mean? Now, I'm assuming this is, if you go back to the LinkedIn photo, Joe, because, I know this is a place in Little Rock, right? So this photo could be old, and it may not be the one that's overseas, but I mean, it doesn't really say. So, I mean, there's a possibility here, I guess, that this is from, but I mean, right, I do know that the governor is overseas or was overseas, and then this photo gets posted, and I can't believe he posted it. I mean, the only reason I'm saying this is I can't believe he posted it because of what is going on in the news every day with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and everything else. It's like alarm bells going off, you know what I mean? Like, stop. Like, it's a terrible idea. Like, even if it's the most innocent relationship in the world, it's a terrible idea, isn't it? I know this segment's going to ruffle some feathers, but I mean, it's just gotten to the point where it's okay. Go back to the corporate client list. Okay, this is Asa Hutchinson Law Group, which again, the governor is still listed as a lawyer there. Corporate clients. So you've got Walmart, obviously. There's a bunch of others, but these two right here, RiseEver and TY Garments, are listed as their corporate clients. Okay, TY Garments. If you'll go to this old Arkansas Democrat Gazette article, March 16th, 2017, headline: Chinese company buys site in Little Rock for its clothing factory. And we scroll down here, and we see this highlighted portion, which says the state has agreed to more than $2.7 million in various incentives, and Little Rock and Pulaski County have agreed not to charge the company up to 65% of its property tax obligations, according to an agreement signed at the time by state officials and Tianwan's president, or Tianyan. Tianyan? I really want to say Tiananmen. Tianwan president The state incentives remain the same, said Scott Hardin, a spokesman for the Arkansas Economic Development Commission. Okay, this is an article, again, based on March 16th, 2017, talking about the economic incentives that TY garments receive. Okay? And yeah, I know we saw Walmart is declined. It's right there as well. But I'm going to focus. I don't know. Walmart's not getting any. I mean, economic development deals because they already are here in Arkansas. Here is a Twitter post. Go to this Twitter. This is Asa Hutchinson III. I want to just remind, this is back on October 23rd. He said, congratulations to Yong Gang Lai, announcing the grand opening of Rise Ever's first North American facility, 125,000 square foot manufacturing plant in Jonesboro that will employ 120 workers. Thank you, Rise Ever, for choosing Arkansas. Hashtag immigration matters. Hashtag immigration matters. That's weird. I didn't think Rise Ever, this Chinese company, by the way, that looks like the Chinese Communist flag right there in the backdrop. I didn't think Rise Ever coming to Jonesboro had anything to do with immigration of the Chinese people to here, or Chinese. I thought it had to do with jobs. It's very interesting. Again, yesterday, in commenting on the state setting a record amount of revenue in the month of October, Governor Asa Hutchinson is reportedly overseas in Japan and China. Arkansas Democrat Gazette story here, Michael Wickline Hutchinson, who is on an economic development trip to Japan and China. And 2 days ago, again, go back to the LinkedIn photo, Joe. This was the photo of Asa Hutchinson III, pictured with a Chinese executive, and the Governor Asa Hutchinson with a bunch of other people. You guys can check this out right now, facebook.com/Conduit News or the YouTube channel. We're broadcasting video. And it says, despite the tariff wars, state and local governments in China and the U.S. can still collaborate to strengthen our economic ties. Thank you, Tian Yan Garments, for bringing us together, hashtag trade. Okay, so obviously they have a problem. They're actually working against, in many ways, the Donald Trump trade policy right now, the foreign policy they're trying to advance. And then I found this. Go to, if you don't mind, there was a story posted, this headline here, Asa Hutchinson Law Group expands to Europe. Now, this was interesting because, again, there are all kinds of law groups, and lawyers are going to be lawyers, right? Like that, well, that's what I'm thinking, right? Are the next economic development projects, the companies, are they going to be from Spain? And the only reason I say that is because of this headline. Asa Hutchinson Law Group expands to Europe. And here's this write-up on the website. Asa Hutchinson Law Group is a firm of lawyers and professionals with offices in the United States and a representation office in China with the following practice areas: immigration law, again, immigration, trademarks, labor and employment, corporate law, commercial contracts and litigation, and international arbitration. As part of their international expansion plans, they have recently opened their first office in Europe, located in Madrid. The firm offers a comprehensive and personalized service tailored to the needs of each individual or company that may have personal or business interests in the United States and or Spain. The partners of the firm, who have a vast professional experience and with great knowledge in the areas of practice they offer to clients, are Asa Hutchinson III, who focuses on commercial litigation, immigration law, and intellectual property, and whose father is Asa Hutchinson, the firm's founder and current governor of the state of Arkansas in the United States, with an exceptional career in both the legal profession and the public sector. And then goes on to list the other attorneys in the group. The law firm has excellent political and business relations in the United States, Mexico, and Spain, and its team of professionals has the knowledge, capacity, and resources to provide personalized services with impeccable quality in English, Spanish, and French. Okay, so we have this law firm, and look at that logo there. Scroll down to the end of the it says Asa Hutchinson Law Group, Arkansas, Madrid, Washington, D.C. It's a global it's like a global pipeline. I mean, it's a very much like, I don't know, it's like what is it? Some sort of catch-all globalist lobbying group. And listen, I'm new to all of this. Again, I got sent on this rabbit trail yesterday because of this one photo, and because I had heard so many of you have flooded us with messages of saying, hey, Asa Hutchinson III, you need to look in. I mean, Paul keeps asking why China. You need to look into this. Well, I mean, you just look, it's been right here the whole time. You've got this law firm that still lists the governor as an attorney working for the law firm. I mean, that may, and I looked at the statement of financial interest. It may just be you put somebody's name up there. But again, don't we also have this Joe Biden, Hunter Biden scenario where he admits he wouldn't get any of this stuff done if it wasn't for his name, his last name, in the position of Joe Biden as vice president? And you have Peter Schweizer's book, Secret Empires, that detailed the fact that there is absolutely nothing illegal with foreign governments enriching the children of prominent American politicians. Again, it's not like, I mean, it's essentially, it's just odd. I don't know why you post this Instagram photo, right? I mean, the Asa Hutchinson III represents, I'm sorry, not Instagram, LinkedIn. Asa Hutchinson III, oh, that's their new office building in Madrid, by the way. That's the new office, that this was posted on Insta. But go back to the LinkedIn photo. This is Asa Hutchinson III, posted this on LinkedIn 2 days ago, and it's a video, or it's a picture of Asa Hutchinson III and his dad with the head of TY Garments. Now, TY Garments is a corporate client listed on the Asa Hutchinson Law Firm website. Now, again, is that okay with you? Is it perfectly legal? I'm going to assume it is. I'm going to assume all of this is perfectly legal because we've got lawyers involved. Now, and I'm not to say that lawyers have never done anything illegal, but you know what I mean. But, I mean, my goodness, with everything that's in the news about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and Ukraine and China and now this, and will there be anyone else besides Conduit News that will at least bring up this situation and compare it to what the outrage is right now? I just wanted to ask those questions today on the program. I want to know what you guys think about it, because this is not a stretch. It's being put out there. And if it wasn't for this photo posted, I'm telling you, this segment probably wouldn't have happened. Everybody's been asking me I've been asking, why China? Why China? You're taking Arkansas tax dollars and giving it to communist Chinese entities that are actually not coming to Arkansas to help us. These communist Chinese entities are paying the Asa Hutchinson law firm where his son works, where they have new offices opening in Madrid, Spain, and they make sure to mention that Asa Hutchinson III is the son of prominent politician, Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson. I mean, there are our tax dollars involved here. I mean, there definitely are ethical questions, at the very least, that need to be asked. What do you think? Sound off. 870-275-9799. Back in a moment.
Folks, as a taxpayer or business owner, I know the government rarely gives the people a break. Big government politicians seem to always want more money from us, taxpayers. So if you want to support the work we're doing right here at Conduit News, bringing you the truth, then why not consider giving less money to the government that never stops overspending and overtaxing us by giving a tax-deductible donation to Conduit for Commerce, the premier organization in Arkansas that never stops promoting small business and limited government. Just go to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Support Our Cause. From there, you can decide if you want to donate monthly or one time. Give the government that's using your tax dollars to grow and grow less, and give the people fighting for your values more. Conduitforcommerce.org.
Often with the help of U.S. technology. And when it comes to religious freedom, a new wave of persecution is crashing down on Chinese Christians, Buddhists, and Muslims.
Exposing the truth and everything the Marble Palace establishment keep trying to cover up. It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for being with us. So now you know why we've been playing that China video. Listen, I know there's folks on the Facebook page who are like, hey, we the China video, we get it with Mike Pence and Asa. You get it now? You get it now? I mean, boy. Everything kind of is a little bit clearer. You kind of figure out, okay, now I understand why we would just ignore the national security implications of doing business with the communist Chinese. Now I understand why we would ignore what they do to Christians. Now I understand how we could ignore the forced abortions and the forced organ transfers and getting rid of the dissidents, setting up a black market elite organ transplant where you can. I got a bad heart. I can do it next week. I'm flying out right now. I got a heart transplant scheduled in China. Flying out to China. Scheduling the transplant. Oh yeah, they're gonna kill a guy. Yeah, I mean the heart's fine. I don't have to. But as soon as I get there, they're gonna kill. They'll just take the heart from the guy, and yeah, and then I get a new heart. Yeah, we've already done the DNA. Yeah, well, yeah, it was some Tibetan monk they got, or it was some a Falun Gong guy. That's what it was. It was a Falun Gong guy. He's a dissident. They don't like him. And so when they sent him to the labor camp, they went ahead and did a DNA test right then. Okay, so they knew what his DNA was. They knew his blood type, all that stuff. And then, I know a guy. He killed himself in a jail cell. But he didn't really kill himself. But, I went to this island, and I knew this guy, Jeffrey Epstein, and he hooked me up with the website portal to schedule my heart transplant in China. Or, with this elite global, if you're going to have a global pedophile ring, it's not too hard to set up a global organ harvesting theft racket. And so, I knew this guy. He set it up for me. And so I'm a match with this Falun Gong dissident. So China's going to make money off of selling me their heart. And also China is going to get rid of a political problem in this dissident. They don't like the guy's faith or beliefs. I mean, it's all become. I mean, how do you do business with these people? It's one thing to trade with them. My goodness, you can make an argument to not even do that. It's a completely different thing to welcome into your state and to give them taxpayer dollars. And these Chinese companies are not companies; they're communist entities disguising as companies. And they're paying the governor's son's law firm? Look it up. You go to Asa Hutchinson Law Firm right now, and their clients are Chinese companies, the same Chinese companies that are located in Arkansas with tax incentives. Hello, McFly? Anybody home? Think. Back in just a moment.
Folks, as a taxpayer or business owner, I know the government rarely gives the people a break. Big government politicians seem to always want more money from us, taxpayers. So if you want to support the work we're doing right here at Conduit News, bringing you the truth, then why not consider giving less money to the government that never stops overspending and overtaxing us by giving a tax-deductible donation to Conduit for Commerce, the premier organization in Arkansas that never stops promoting small business and limited government. Just go to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Support Our Cause. From there, you can decide if you want to donate monthly or one time. Give the government that's using your tax dollars to grow and grow less, and give the people fighting for your values more. Conduitforcommerce.org.
Last month, Beijing shut down one of China's largest underground churches. Across the country, authorities are tearing down crosses, burning Bibles, and imprisoning believers. And Beijing has now reached a deal with the Vatican that gives the avowedly atheist Communist Party a direct role in appointing Catholic bishops. For China's Christians, these are desperate times.
So, do you like him as a candidate?
I think he's brought a lot to the table. It's not my message. I worry about the party in terms of expanding our base and what the message does to our recruitment of Hispanics, outreach to minorities. And so you've got to worry about the fall election and whether this is a message that's going to carry in Michigan, Ohio, and Florida, and those states that we need to carry.
The American people deserve to know. In response to the strong stand that President Trump has taken, Beijing is pursuing a comprehensive and coordinated campaign to undermine support for the president, our agenda, and our nation's most cherished ideals.
I think you've got to listen to what he says and how he conducts himself. And I don't know that he would be that different from what he is now in negotiating with Vladimir Putin. So,
you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
No, I don't think it's a good thing. We need people who, in the presidency, that understand how the world works, understands that there's a time for bluster and there's a time for reason.
The Chinese Communist Party is rewarding or coercing American businesses, movie studios, universities, think tanks, scholars, journalists, and local.
Harrell.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. Telephone number 870-275-9799 if you would like to contribute to the conversation. Want to check back in with Pope County resident, also attorney Larry Walker's back with us. Larry, it's been a little while. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm doing good. I know we didn't get to talk last week, but we did get to talk with Anna Stieritz about the ruling that came down last week where we have the judge that essentially said that the ordinance was unconstitutional, that would require a vote as to whether or not Pope County is going to have a casino. And then we also had a ruling about the Freedom of Information Act, whether or not it was violated, or did we have that ruling? What can you tell us, Larry?
He did rule on the local ordinance. There's an appeals process in the state of Arkansas, and I would say that that's most likely going to be going to the appeals process. When we get to matters of constitutionality, we think that matters like that affect our state constitution deserve to be heard by the highest court in our state, and so that's where we hope that gets. Is for our Supreme Court to be able to hear that. That's kind of where we thought from the get-go, whether who won, who lost, this thing would get appealed, and eventually they would be hearing these matters. And so that's most likely what we see in the future. But on the FOIA stuff, I mean, you tell me, Paul. When a ruling like that comes down as a guy from the press, What do you think when a judge says that the FOIA laws, you can do what you want to do as a public official, as long as you just simply bring it in for a perfunctory vote. Kind of mind blowing to me.
Yeah, I think it was really a blow to the Freedom of Information Act, or at least the judge's definitely a misinterpretation of that. I mean, we still have ethics investigations. You still have people looking into this. Larry, yeah, I think there's folks that are in big trouble here having these secret meetings. I mean, I think it's a clear violation, and they're having to do it because it's a casino, and it just brings in this feeling of really shady deals going back and forth. Now, I also want to bring up, and I mentioned this briefly last week, right after that ruling, I understand this particular judge is running for re-election. So right after the ruling, there was some Facebook posts that were made. Did you happen to see those?
I did. There were some posts put up that were touting what had happened there and using quotes from our adversary on the other side, the defendant in this case, using quotes from them, touting that. And honestly, the case had not yet even been closed at that point. Honestly, it's still actually technically still ongoing in a sense, because those FOIA issues have not been resolved. You asked that in the last question. I guess I didn't even answer your question on that, on the FOIA. That his dismissal last week was what we would call a 12B6 dismissal, which is a procedural dismissal, which allows you can have a case that's dismissed with prejudice or without prejudice. If it's with prejudice, that means it's on the merits of the case. It's decided, and then it can be appealed up to the next court. If it's without prejudice on this one, it means that you can bring it back to the court. Essentially, there's something that technically that was wrong with how you pled the case, and so go fix it and bring it back. And so the merits of the FOIA claims were not even decided, and the stuff that he said, he essentially said, "This is my opinion on how FOIA works," but because he was dismissing it based on the procedural issues, he was not actually, I guess, opining on that, judicially opining on those issues. He was saying, "This is what I think about it, but I'm dismissing this because of the procedure issues." And so those FOIA issues are still outstanding and can be brought back before the court once those issues are resolved. So they're definitely still outstanding out there.
Okay, what about Pope County majority? I mean Pope County minority. Boy, we're certainly getting some folks online. They really are upset with Citizens for a Better Pope County. And I want to be clear, Citizens for a Better Pope County, Larry, you guys are made up of people that just wanted to have a vote. There's some of you that actually favor a casino, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there's people in the group that favor a casino. There's people like me that don't. It's the issue is about having a vote, democracy, not having the right of the people taken away. And that's what I don't understand, the visceral reaction to that, is the fact that we're just calling for democracy here. We're calling for a vote of the people that 70% of our county wanted, and even if we didn't have a vote, 60% didn't want a casino here. And at the end of the day, the 60% that didn't want to have a casino here are represented by those JPs who, according to it, strip out the local ordinance, say it is unconstitutional. If they want to say it's fine, but in the Constitution itself, it says that the county judge or the quorum court can make that decision of whether or not one comes here. Yeah. And they represent those 60% of the population that said we don't want one here. And suddenly on August the 13th, they come out and they say this is who we're picking. Mm-hmm. And so the voice of the people is clearly not heard in Polk County. And so I don't understand the anger and the personal attacks. I don't get that. Can we not have a calm conversation, a peaceful conversation where we can express our opinions and express our thoughts on both sides of the aisle, and actually have a conversation about this? But evidently we can't.
So, Larry, I mean, I appreciate this update. Where do we go from here? We're just going to have to wait for the appeal process, wait for another judicial hearing.
I think so. I think at this point, it's kind of a waiting game at this point, waiting for the appeals process to play out, waiting for these investigations to see what they come out with on some of these allegations that are out there, and see if we can get any clarity to what's happened.
Okay. Well, I mean, as we move forward, I just hope the people have a say. I hope the county officials come to their senses and realize that they didn't run on a pro-casino platform, and I hope the money doesn't end up corrupting people, whether directly or indirectly.
Absolutely, and we're getting into a campaign season here, and I think that's going to be another indicator of what people, because that's essentially what this election is going to come down to. As the filing period's this week, and those primaries are in March. A lot of that's going to come down to whether it's a pro anti-casino vote, essentially. And I mean, even though there has been a resolution made, there's now been some court hearings that have been had. That's still a hot button topic around here, and that's still what these guys are still going to be running on. Is still that one of those platforms, and we're going to be able to see what those votes look like. I was thinking about it the other day. The sad part of that FOIA issue. And even the opinion of the judge when he came out and said the things he did about, well, as long as they come in and they can talk about what they want, and then they can come in here and put a stamp on it with a vote. The justices walked into that courtroom on the 13th, and there were multiple of them who had no idea that this process was happening, that there had been a $38 million agreement reached, and so forth. And there was a local citizen that did a FOIA and asked for, I think based on Bill Warner's statements, I believe is who it was, that said the judges told us we have until August the 12th to get these final bids in. And so we had a local citizen that went and did a FOIA, and he said, I'd like to see those proposals. And he got one proposal back that was in by that deadline, one proposal, and that was the Keel family out of Iowa's proposal. It wasn't the Cherokee's proposal. It wasn't anybody else. It was the Keel family. Well, and the Keel family proposal is essentially what went through the Russellville process recently that showed to be about twice the monetary value of the Cherokee proposal. And when they walked into that meeting on the 13th, the Keel family proposal was never even put before the quorum court. And so those justices that weren't a part of those discussions and those alleged secret meetings, those justices had no opportunity to see any other proposal. And so the secret meetings that were had, and those guys, those 7 or 8 JPs that came into that room on the 13th and rubber stamped what they had been talking about, those other 5 districts in Polk County, they never had representation in that process.
Wow.
Because they had their mind made up when they walked in, and 5 JPs are completely left out of the discussion, and they come in and rubber stamp a decision for a group that, according to the FOIA, that was requested, never had the proposal in by that deadline, and these other guys did. The Gulfside group, they did have a proposal in by noon, and their proposal was not provided back in the FOIA.
Yeah, and they got a case too. I mean, they're suing over this.
And they have a case. Absolutely, they have a case, and that's on November 25th. And so there's all kinds of avenues here that your FOIA question to me makes a lot of sense, and I think that one will definitely be brought back up. I don't think it's a dead issue as many are saying. I think that's definitely certainly a live issue.
I think
we'll hear that again.
I think there's some county officials going to be in trouble over it. I really do. Larry, I appreciate it, sir. We'll check in with you again when there's new developments. So I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Paul.
Sir.
Appreciate it.
Folks, we're going to take a short break for 1 minute and be back here in just a second. Don't go anywhere.
Folks, as a taxpayer or business owner, I know the government rarely gives the people a break. Big government politicians seem to always want more money from us, taxpayers. So if you want to support the work we're doing right here at Conduit News, bringing you the truth, then why not consider giving less money to the government that never stops overspending and overtaxing us by giving a tax-deductible donation to Conduit for Commerce, the premier organization in Arkansas that never stops promoting small business and limited government. Just go to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Support Our Cause. From there, you can decide if you want to donate monthly or one time. Give the government that's using your tax dollars to grow and grow less, and give the people fighting for your values more. Conduitforcommerce.org.
And there's a time for reason.
The Chinese Communist Party is rewarding or coercing American businesses, movies.
Conduit
All right,
News
folks,
Radio.
welcome back to the program. Thanks so much for being with us this morning. So next week is National Apprenticeship Week. And in Northeast Arkansas, there's actually going to be an employer forum. Special guest is going to be Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin. That's going to be on Tuesday, November the 12th from 8:30 to 12:30. As a matter of fact, I have with me Mr. Lonnie Emmerd, who is the Arkansas Apprenticeship Director, on the line. Lonnie, how are you this morning?
Great, Paul. Doing just fine.
Yeah, so, first of all, what can you tell us about National Apprenticeship Week?
Well, Paul, I'll tell you, this represents a great movement that has been occurring around the country for a number of years now, and that is this idea of taking an age-old, proven process called registered apprenticeship and expanding it into all of the other occupations that have not been thought of much in the past in areas like healthcare, advanced manufacturing, information technology, transportation, distribution. And so what this represents is a way of kind of capturing this huge kind of aggressive move to be able to encourage employers to consider this as a very important talent strategy.
Okay, so this is a way. Now, can you talk a little bit about, because I've read a little bit on this, you know, I've read a little bit how we have employers who are having trouble finding employees, you know what I mean? An increasingly common thing among Arkansas companies the last few decades, they can't find job candidates with basic skills. Address that a little bit. I mean, is that a problem?
Yes, you know, this skills gap has been an ever-widening kind of scenario for a lot of years. I think I don't go back that far, but, you know, there was a time when there was, you know, career education and there was vocational trades. And that was kind of the view that people had, was you had to pick a path. And then, you know, this movement of saying that the path to success in this country is everybody should get a 4-year college degree. And, you know, I'm not here to say to anyone that that's not a good thing. However, what we found is that hasn't necessarily been the path of success for a lot of the tech-related, advanced-related jobs that really require skill development, not necessarily theoretical learning. And so the gap that once existed, you know, within kind of the trades and manufacturing and those kind of things have now found themselves into professional jobs where, you know, high-tech, type requirements are not necessarily exactly the things being taught, you know, in university and community college. And so that widening gap has forced us to look at new ways for employers to reach out and find a population of talent and realize that we have to kind of work together to grow our own, if you will. And the apprenticeship model with someone who is experienced that, you know, provides some OJT with a great partner who will provide training, classroom training that's very targeted to the skills that you just mentioned, Paul, that employers demand today, and it just, is not available without some type of kind of collaborative partnership like this.
Are you worried at all? By the way, once again, we're talking to Lonnie Emmerd, Arkansas Apprenticeship Director. It used to be the case that, you know, the government essentially, you know, with government education, we've got these children now for 13 years. You know, when they graduated high school, there didn't at least seem to be the skills gap that we have now. And I understand the economy's changing, but is there, you know, what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts that we have a system where we're putting folks, in government education for that amount of time, and yet they still have to have more, you know? Should we change kind of our ideas behind that, you know, K through 12 education?
Well, with all the partners that I've, worked with over the years, and I come at this from a business perspective, having been an executive at Blue Cross Blue Shield. The idea of how we partner with education has always been the key to my success and what I've done in terms of creating other nonprofits like the Arkansas Center for Data Sciences, in the fact that, a lot of times, and let's see if this makes sense to our audience, that, we would go out and try to hire, whether that was college graduates or even others as experienced hires. And when we found they didn't have the proper preparation, especially for young people either coming right out of high school or through the educational system, we'd point a finger and go, what are you doing wrong? Why are they not? This product isn't what I need. And a lot of times what I've said is, well, shame on us because we weren't participating enough in that process. So now that that's happening, I do believe that what you've asked is where we are. I think you're seeing, especially in the state of Arkansas, a 4-year computer science curriculum that really resembles what is so essential for all students to be able to be equipped and prepared, because nearly every job is a high-tech job. And when it relates to manufacturing and the types of opportunities that are presenting themselves there, just the mere fact that a high school student has a chance to begin to go through a pre-apprentice type program, to do internships, to be able to have what I call OJT, real learning experiences while they're in school, you're finding, Paul, a real openness for that to happen today that maybe for a period of years there that wasn't as available just because employers were not at the table assisting in that process as much as education now is desiring them to be in that position, and employers and industry wanting to be in that position. So that has changed.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up the college aspect too, real quick, just because that's incredible as well, that you can also go to a 4-year institution, and still not be prepared. It really goes to show you that on-the-job experience, it goes, taking what you've learned and applying it in a practical way. That really is the key in a lot of this. Now, I want to remind everybody once again, Lonnie, and tell us a little bit more about this event. This is going to come up next week, National Apprentice Week, but we have this event right here, Tuesday, November 12th at the First National Bank Arena in Jonesboro from 8:30 to 12. And so there's going to be a panel, is that correct, on this employer forum, and you're on that panel, is that right?
Well, actually, I'll be facilitating a panel of 5 different employers who really cover a number of different occupational areas and a number of industry sectors. And we've done this a couple other times around the state. We did it in Little Rock and then in Northwest Arkansas, and now we really felt like this was very important to do this in the Northeast area and in Jonesboro specifically. And what that employer panel gives us the ability to do is have other employer representatives, hopefully hiring managers, C-suite executives, and even the HR representatives, to hear from other colleagues about what it is they were experiencing. I got a feeling it's going to be very similar to some of these hiring issues and skill gap problems that they're experiencing, and saying what have they learned and what did they do about it, and how did apprenticeship become that very important business strategy for them. And we'll get into the details, and we hope to have them leave no stone unturned, if you will. And in other words, these sessions have been really effective because we're getting every question out there. And what we do, Paul, is try to have everybody in the audience, for the company representatives, to move from kind of an awareness, hopefully, to interest. And when they say they now see the fact that this could be very beneficial to them, then we create follow-up opportunities to then build them toward commitment toward a registered apprenticeship program. And the value of that for them is that we tell them about all the other players in the ecosystem that are going to help them be successful, which is things that you'll also hear about, which is what are some of the funding opportunities that are available right now that may not be here for a while.
All right.
What are some of these different groups that will help them find access to candidate pools that they otherwise had not seen before?
Lonnie Embert, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. And again, folks, the event is free, so you can register now for this. And again, it's coming up next week, next Tuesday. Lonnie, we appreciate it, sir.
You bet. Thank you, Paul, for your time.
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you. Folks, we're going to take a break. Back in just a moment.
No, we are not going to take a break, because here I am. I'm wearing the same jacket, but I've got a red shirt on instead of a yellow shirt. Ha ha! I'm a wizard. All right, hey, welcome back. I sat down with Lonnie yesterday to get that out, and just wanted to share that with you guys. Hey, but now that I'm here, can we go over what we just talked about at 7:05? Can you believe this? So the governor's son, Asa Hutchinson III, this is what he posted 2 days ago on LinkedIn. Despite the tariff wars, state and local governments in China and the U.S. can still collaborate to strengthen our economic ties. Thank you, Tian Yan Garments, for bringing us together. This is interesting. You have Asa Hutchinson III and his father, Governor Asa Hutchinson, with the heads of TY Garments, this Chinese company. So that got me thinking, well, what's up with that? Well, go to the next one. We go to the Asa Hutchinson Law Group, and we see corporate clients like Walmart and others, but we also see that TY Garments is a client of Asa Hutchinson III. By the way, the governor is still listed as an attorney for this outfit as well. Okay, well, that's interesting. We know that our taxpayer dollars are being used to recruit the Chinese communist entities to Arkansas, and then the Chinese communist entities, I'm assuming, are also putting on some sort of retainer or doing some sort of work with the Asa Hutchinson law firm. This, again, just so you know, the state agreed to $2.7 million in various incentives in Little Rock and Pulaski when it came to time to bring TY Garments to Little Rock. Then we have this tweet. Congratulations to Yong Gang Lai announcing a grand opening of Rise Ever's first North American facility. This was what, last week or 2 weeks ago, where that looks like the Chinese Communist flag, by the way. Those are definitely the colors. Well, Rise Ever is also a client of the Asa Hutchinson Law Group listed on their website. Go back. It's right there. You see the similarities in logo? I mean, it's the same thing. And all of that, those Chinese letters that I don't know what those are. Okay, interesting. Next, we know that the governor was on an economic development trip this week to China and Japan. So I'm assuming that this photo of Mike Preston, Asa Hutchinson, and Asa Hutchinson III with TY Garments means that Asa Hutchinson III is on the trip to China. Now, that's an assumption. I guess this could be somewhere else, but I'm just putting two and two together here, folks. When's the last time you heard of a politician's son being in China together? Oh, right, Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. That's right. And I, folks, cannot believe this. I cannot believe that this photo was posted when it was. Okay, next up, we have Asa Hutchinson III's Twitter account tweeted this back on October the 5th. Can you see the October 5th quote? Asa Hutchinson Law Group's Madrid office is now open. So can we assume that the next foreign company that will be coming here is going to be from Madrid or Europe? And this is the write-up. Click on it or go to the next piece. We only have about 2 minutes. The Asa Hutchinson Law Group is a firm of lawyers and professionals with offices in the United States and a representation office in China. This is from their website. A representation office in China with the following practice areas. So we have the governor's law firm where his son has an office. They have an office in China, and we're getting all these Chinese companies, and 2 of them are clients of the governor's son. And by the way, Asa is still listed. Asa, the governor, is still listed as the first attorney. When you scroll over attorneys, he's still listed on this website. Asa Hutchinson Law Group, professionals, they have an office in China with the following practices: immigration law, trademarks, labor, employment. The firm offers a comprehensive and personalized service tailored to the needs of each individual or company that may have personal or business interests. The partners of the firm, who have a vast professional experience with great knowledge in areas of areas of practice, are Asa Hutchinson III, who focus on commercial litigation, immigration law, and intellectual property, and whose father, Asa Hutchinson, the firm's founder and the current governor of the state of Arkansas in the United States, with an exceptional career in both the legal profession and the public sector. The law firm has excellent political and business relations in the United States, Mexico, and Spain, and its team of professionals has knowledge and capacity and resources to provide personalized services. What kind of services? Come on, there's got to be some people who have a problem with this.